going on YouTube? It's Gadgets Boy. Welcome to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Huawei MateBook D 2020. It's got this aluminium finish. It looks like a good laptop, and it's got all the bells and whistles for this to be a really good everyday laptop for office work. Whether you're coder, you want to learn how to code, you can do that on here. Maybe you edit photos, casual photo editing and video editing, you can do that on here as well. I've been trying to push it to the limits. I've played Forza Horizon on here as well, and it works really well, but on the low settings. But without further ado, let's go through what this is all about, the specifications, and give you some reviews, some views on what I've learned from using this so far. First of all, let's talk about the design. So this is finished in a nice, beautiful aluminium chassis. So the case itself feels really nice and solid. I really like the look and feel of it. It looks premium for a mid-range laptop. So if you were to whip this out in public, people won't judge you at all. And the size is very portable. This will slide in your backpack very easily without any issues at all. One thing I didn't like though is the weight ratio in terms of trying to lift this up. So if you're trying to lift the lid up with one hand, it ends up lifting the whole thing. So it's not well balanced in that sense. You still have to use two hands to do that sort of stuff. In terms of ports available, you got 4 USB ports on the right side with 3.5mm headphone jack. On the left side, you got 4 HDMI ports, another USB standard, and a USB-C port as well. That USB-C port is also used for charging it up, so it's got fast charge, and it comes in a box as well, so you can charge it up very fast in no time at all. This is running on Windows 10 Home, and also you've got AMD Ryzen 5, so that's a 3500U processor in there with Vega 8 GPU. Again, that GPU is not meant to be for gaming in my opinion, but if you do want to game, you can still do some casual gaming on there. Like I said, I play Forza on it on the lowest settings, and I was getting around about 35 frames per second, and the GPU was pushed to the very limit. So again, that's not going to prolong the life of your laptop if you keep doing so. So don't do that on here. But if you're going to be editing on, like say Lightroom, Photoshop, you can absolutely do that on here. If you want to edit videos or like 1080p videos, you can absolutely do that on here as well. Let's have a look at what else is inside once you open up the lid. So once you open it up, like I said earlier, you couldn't just flip this open with one hand. The whole thing moves. So you're better off just open it up with two hands like so. You got fingerprint sensor, which is really quick as well. So if I just press this right now, this will log me in very quickly. As you can see there, from powering it on, everything's been done in terms of logging in and actually loading up the laptop itself. So you don't have to worry about putting in your password and all that stuff afterwards once you set it up. One thing you'll also notice on here is that big trackpad there. I think is very big and adequate for moving around, or if you want to do casual gaming or when you're editing photos and videos and that kind of stuff. What you've also got is this recessed camera here, which we've seen before, which is really cool. So this is a 1 megapixel camera, and this will do 720p in terms of video quality. So you can just press that down when you're not using it. One thing I spotted as well is if you leave it open and you close the lid, it doesn't affect what's going on. So if you don't open it back up, the camera just stays there like so. So you can just press that back to put it away. One thing you notice on this side as well is something called Huawei Share, which also supports a multi-collaboration feature now as well. So if you have a Huawei device like the Mate 30 Pro, where it's got UMUI 10 or above, you'll be able to tap it on there and you'll be able to run a virtual phone on the side as well. So you'll be able to do a bit more multitasking if you ask me. So let me show you guys. So in my hand is the Mate 30, Huawei Mate 30 Pro here. So what you can do is if I swipe down and turn on Huawei Share, which is already on an NFC and all that stuff, and all I need to do is tap on this side of the laptop, and then I'll click connect on the phone itself. As you can see there, click connect, and here I just have to allow it. And I can take the phone away, I can put the phone to the side. And there's a virtual phone. So this phone is now running on the side, and I can do everything I can do on the device itself. I can do it on the side here with no problem at all, which I found really cool. You can also use it to transfer files like drag and drop all the way over to the phone. Between the two devices, it just works really seamlessly, which I really like. Elsewhere, you got IPS display here, which has got this sort of like matte finishing. Again, something that I didn't like is the fact that then ends up in some sort of glare, especially when there's a massive bright light or a big bright light or sunshine around you. But regardless, this is 1920 by 1080, so a full HD display, full view display they call it, and you got that screen to body ratio of 84%. So you got tiny bezels all around it apart from the bottom where the Huawei logo is. I don't even know why that is to there, since we have the recessed camera here as well. So you got brightness of up to 250 nits, which I find is more than enough for everyday use. But again, in bright sunlight situation, you might struggle with that if you ask me. Aspect ratio 16:9, great for watching movies and everything else on the go, which is pretty cool. Editing photos on here is really easy to do, very adequate for editing photos, especially using Lightroom, which is something that I do. I wouldn't use this for editing videos myself, but if you really need to, you can do 1080p videos on Premiere and you'll be fine, no problems at all. One thing I've tried to do on here is play games, and I was getting, I was averaging about 32 frames per second, which again is very rusty and kind of like pushing the limits on this laptop, but it works if you really need to do that sort of stuff. Thanks to that Vega 8 graphics processor unit in there, GPU in there. In terms of battery life, it wasn't that good in my opinion. It could be better, but thanks to that 65 watt supercharging system there, you can plug it in and charge it back up very quickly and not have to worry about that at all. And thanks to this being a Windows system, you can connect your Xbox controller. So if you want a game on the go using your Xbox controller, you can do so as well. One thing I also didn't like is the two speakers on the bottom, which are quite loud, but unfortunately, because they're at the bottom, on the bottom, so when you place it flat on the surface, or if you use your laptop in bed like me sometimes, you find that voice just goes teeny tiny out of nowhere until you lift your laptop up and you're like, oh, that's loud now. So again, that's something that I wish they placed on the side or the front of the laptop itself. During my time with it as well, it didn't really get hot when I was using it. The only time it did is when I was gaming, playing Forza, because that's quite heavy loaded for the processor and the graphics card to process. So again, it just ends up getting hot. But thanks to that Shark Thing 2.0 in there, it means that when you do things like Photoshop, typing up your stuff, watching YouTube, it hardly gets hot. It doesn't get hot at all. It just stays cool at all times. So overall, the Huawei MateBook D is actually a really good laptop for me, D14 to be exact. For around £649, you're getting something that's portable. Battery life is okay, not the best. You can do Huawei Share multi-collaboration with a Huawei device with EMUI 10 and above. You've got 8 gigs of RAM, you've got 512 gig of internal storage in here. You've got adequate ports, including old school ports and new school as well. So you've got standard USB and USB-C and full HDMI ports in case you need to extend your display to a bigger display, for example. One thing I didn't mention as well is this actually flat, goes flat all the way like that, 180 degrees. I don't know why you'd need that. Me personally, it's not something that I would need to use, but it's there available for you if that's something that you want to do. You got fast charge as well, which is something you don't really get on most mid-level laptops or any laptops for that matter. And yeah, and it's got a nice finishing to it as well. Colorful display in terms of colors. It's not the most colorful or the brightest of all out there, but again, for a mid-range laptop, you can't really complain about the level of color that you get and the brightness as well. But I think that's it for the Huawei MateBook D, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you have any questions, do ask as well and let me know. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell notification if this is your first time on the channel. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.